Good morning. We are from the group 1 will be presented the topic of Top Glove, which they are outsourcing of their services. We as the group 1 consist of 6 members. I'm as a leader. My name is Siti Khairia, and the next members are Kasturi, Wang Junghao, Sawish Warren, Ye Yun, and Faisal. I will give this platform to next presenter. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about financial theory. And the financial theory, the theory that my group has chosen is transaction cost theory. First point I would like to say is transaction cost theory is an alternative variant of the agency understanding of governance assumptions. It describes governance frameworks as being based on the net effects of internal and external transactions, rather than as contractual relationship outside the firm, as for example with shareholders. The second point I would say is transaction costs are costs incurred that don't accrue to any participants of the transactions. They are sunk costs resulting from economic trade in a market. In economics, the theory of transaction cost is based on the assumption that people are influenced by competitive self-interest. Okay, to the next slide. There are three types of transaction cost theory. The first one I would like to say is search and information costs. These are the costs associated with looking for relevant information and meeting with agents with whom the transaction will take place. The stock exchange is one such example, as they bring the buyers and the sellers of financial assets together. The stockbroker's fee is a type of information transaction cost. The second point I would like to say is bargaining costs. These are the costs related to coming to an agreement that is agreeable to the parties involved in drawing up a contract. Bargaining costs can either be very cheap, such as buying a newspaper, or can be very expensive, such as trading a basketball player from one team to another. Okay, the last type of transaction cost theory is policing and enforcement costs. These are the costs associated with making sure that the parties in the contract keep their word and do not default on the terms of the contract. In the real world, people often deviate from the contract, and thus enforcement costs are incurred while governing contracts. Lawyer fees are an example of such costs. Thank you so much.
I am Kasturi Velu and I'm going to present on the problems faced by top glove in this slide. According to the theory and framework we chose, there are few problems that we identified in this top glove. Three of the main problems are that the pricing pressure on natural gloves still persists. Number two, the detention order issued by the U.S. Custom and Border Protection (CBP) and high demand due to the pandemic. These problems faced by Top Glove are mainly focused based on this current situation where we are facing the pandemic. For the problem 1, the nitrate glove is on high demand since the medical or non-medical people are demanding for the glove, since this pandemic caused them a big fear that if they didn't use glove, the virus is going to attack them, and therefore the demand on nitrate gloves are higher, and the pressure on top glove is also high and unimaginable. For the problem 2, which is detention order issued by the US Custom and Border Protection. As for this pandemic caused the manufacturing to run above the targeted running hours. Therefore, they have to hire workers from other country which is not from Malaysia, and Therefore, it is complained by the US that Malaysia are making use of other countries' servant, and it is a shame Malaysia are treating the workers in a shameful way, and it is unacceptable by the US customs. This happens when there are high demand on gloves and they need to work 24 hours or more than that, and they need to cut costs since this pandemic is occurring. A lot of company or businesses is going through major economic crisis, and therefore it becomes an issue that they are overworking their workers and not paying enough. The issue number 3 is high demand due to the pandemic. As I have said earlier, there are high demand on glove duties due to this pandemic, and they're working towards ways to improve their manufacturing styles, and they are working toward on how to cut their cost or maintain their expenses, or is there any way to reduce the expenses, or is there any way to solve this problem due to this demand? And that's all from my part. Thank you.
As Kasturi had mentioned about the problems of the company is facing here. Here I'm going to elaborate more on the usefulness of the addressing of the problems. So firstly, pricing pressure on nitrile gloves caused by the transaction cost. Increase in nitrile gloves and latex glove supply in 2020 due to the higher demand in the US market and the Western Europe market and the Japanese market grow. Top gloves continue to face more pressure on the operating profit margins. This is due to the increase of 14.2% nitrile gloves, latex glove supply in 2020 by the top rubber producer in Malaysia. Therefore, which had caused a higher labor cost in 2020, following up with 9.1 upward revision of the minimum wage. Therefore, the company has decided to increase their production and buy more machines to cover up the labor cost and the demand of the market. Secondly, the governance structure. The US announced bars on boards of the Malaysian top glove over labor issues by finding evidence of forced labor practices. US importers that illicit inhuman and exploitative practices of modern day slavery will not be tolerated by the US supply chain. Therefore, all of the orders that was sent to from Malaysia to US has been stopped and at the cost of America and wouldn't be tolerated or sent to the market of US until solving the issue. And also, foreigner workers are paying for getting recruited, bearing all the recruitment fees since the start of the last year. Recruitment fees paid without their knowledge by the workers to the agents before January 2019. So all of the workers that came from other countries, they had to pay a fee for getting the job in Top Gloves company. And therefore, most of the workers, they were like in debts for the company, for this agency, and that's which of them and affected their governors of the company. Therefore, the company has announced just recently to hold responsible for all of these fees, and they decided to pay for all of these fees. Thirdly, combining with the market demand. So After the restrictive movement in 2020 because of the pandemic of COVID-19, there's a restriction happened from 18 of March until June, which caused a restriction of movement because of the COVID-19 increases cases, which had affected the company's financial performance by needing 10% more of their workers, which they are not allowed like to bring other international workers to work for them, because they are not allowed to bring more laborers from outside, or there is no entry for anybody from outside, which caused them to go for the local market of laborers, and which had the company to suffer a problem from the market demand. So now, after I finish all of the usefulness of addressing the problems, now I'm gonna pass it to Hao to explain more about the goal attainment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hao. I'm going to talk about the goal attainment of Top Glove. So let's see the first. Improvement in operational efficiency and hence lower cost. Digitalization and automation via the application of Internet of Things, robotic and automated real-time manufacturing system. The next is scrap some older and less efficient machine in Thailand and new and more advanced machine that have the capacity to increase the production capacity. The second is to study the implication and benefits of organic growth. The management must have the ability to control the overall activities of glove manufacturing, from producing and delivering the gloves to the customers, getting and ensuring that the company is always in the right direction with the right attitude and the culture. Let's move to the next page. The third one is expand the business or the scope of business ties. So there are two types of growth. For vertical growth, the more move downstream to get closer to the customers, to better support and service them by opening more marketing offices. On horizontal growth, the strength is basically to expand the range of production to have the bigger market percent in the various category of the gloves. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Yun. I will talk about the rationale of adoption. Business outsourcing means that enterprises outsource some of their own business. Some business to the world's best professional companies. By outsourcing, enterprises only focus on the development of core business and outsource some non-core transactional work to the best professional human resources outsourcing companies. So there are some reasons for the outsourcing of enterprises. First of all, according to the Top Glove 2018 annual report, the group established an internal pre-maintenance services department to improve cost efficiency in this area in 2015. Where provides maintenance work was outsourced, companies can now do it in-house, saving them the cost of buying new maintenance works and the time it takes to send out external repairs. Secondly, because of the competitive nature of their business, the traditional large multinational glove manufacturers do each expand, but instead turn to the outsourcing of efficient glove manufacturers like Top Glove, which could provide the same quality gloves at a more competitive price. In intense competition has also led marginal companies to pull out of the industry because they cannot compete with more effective and efficient manufacturers who can offer the same quality gloves at better price and source. Finally, Top Gloves outsourcing partnership with the SBM Group enables the SBM Group to become the world's leading manufacturer of surgical gloves. In addition to its existing leadership in inspection glove manufacturing, increased production capacity will also allow the group enjoying better economies of scale and efficiency. As a result, the enlarged group is expected to compete more effectively and gain greater market share in the global market, especially from multinational companies in the glove industry that they are trying to outsource their production capacity.
Thank you. I will present the last part as an action plan for the changes to the top glove. First, the company should reduce generations of scheduled waste by 5% on 2019. Second, to reduce the greenhouse gas, the GHG emissions intensity by 23% by financial years of 2024. And lastly, make a materiality analysis for the company. For the first point is that the company should actually give in a training to the employees to handle systems and schedule waste. The company also needs to actually build the on-site wastewater treatment plant to every every buildings to treat the wastewater that will generate every day. Second point, which is the reduce of GHG emissions intensity. The company should focus on energy efficiency and the conservation efforts for natural consumptions to the company. Next, and the company should actually convert the coals and biomass combustions facilities to a cleaner and higher efficiency natural gas facilities. Lastly, the materiality analysis of the company, where the company should review of materials issues that form by the internal and external sources, which the company should adherence to the company activities that relevant to the issues and guidelines. That's the suggestions for the action plan for the top glove that related to the chosen accountants issues. Thank you. That's all for today.